Yeah, I'm better live.
Yeah. I really wanted to try to get you in here to do a live watching of the Poirier and Gaethje fight coming up.
Yeah.
But we got booked Marshall County Fair, 29th.
Oh, that's way more important.
Yeah.
Marshall County Fair, they take that seriously down there.
Yeah, they do. It's a great stage. It's a huge stage, too.
Oh, yeah.
I love it out there.
So, what's going on with you recently? What's coming up? What have you been into? What are you dabbling in?
You know, I've constantly, we were talking about it the other day, is like, I'm training harder than my fighters train, and they're getting ready for fights. I have no...
You hear that, fighters?
I have no goal right now. Like, there's no fights coming up. I'm done with that part of my life. You know, I'm training for a half marathon, but, like, the amount of training and effort I'm putting into just myself, I've got to figure out something to do with it here soon. But like it makes it to where I'm leading by example. The guys are terrified to let me get that far ahead of them because they're all trying to be the one that takes my head off. It's been a long time since I had a hard round. So, you know, and they all swear this Friday it's going to be the day. I'm like, yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah, put up or shut up.
But yeah, between that and getting ready for Show of Hands next week on the 26th at River City, the gym's a part of that.
So what's that all about?
Well, they take 4 businesses or startup ideas, and you do a 4-minute pitch to the room. Everybody pays $5 and gets a vote. Whoever gets the most votes gets $4,000 plus the gate from the event. So last time I think it got up around $7,000, and with that, the expanse to my program, the extra training equipment, the training equipment that specifies for like personal training people, not necessarily the fighters, and just some upgrades to the gym and maybe a little bit more of the community outreach that we already do.
Nice. That's very cool that they do that.
Well, that's the biggest part of it. You know, through my entire career, I got supported so much by the community, and like my shirts looked like a 5K race shirt. I had so many sponsors on the back. Like literally the entire community supported my entire career, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. So when it came down to the winding down of fighting, I started using my name and what I marketed so much and my ability to generate money for good causes. Right. Because if I can talk you into giving me $1,200 to do what I was already going to do, which was fighting, I can get you to give me $1,200 for a good cause.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I started setting out like goals. How much can I raise by myself for this charity?
Well, you said you had a little competition with your wife.
Yeah. So the whole thing was we had to raise $1,900 to run a half marathon in Disney on behalf of Ronald McDonald House. Now you could run the half marathon, or you could run it on behalf of a charity, and the prerequisite is you have to raise the money for that charity, and it's a set amount. Now there were charities in it with $50 a piece and stuff like that. Well, I said, well, Ronald McDonald charity is a really good charity. Right. And she goes, well, that's $950 a piece. And she's all nervous because, you know, she's like everybody else. She's never said, well, I can raise any amount of money that I want to. And I said, don't worry about it. I'll raise it by myself. You won't even have to do it. And so from that point on, she kept asking. And she kept asking, and she kept asking. And finally, we were at dinner, and she said it again, and I looked at her, and I said, do you want me to do it in 24 hours just to prove a point? And she looks at me, and you know, I know what she's doing because I set the challenge for myself. She's just knocking it over the fence.
Yep.
You know, she said, well, I don't think you can. And I'm like, well, anybody that knows me knows that immediately
challenge.
I'm going to do this now. So we're sitting there. She's making up the rules. I'm not allowed to start anything. I'm not allowed to print out anything. I'm not even allowed to work on it until I set the time. And then I got 24 hours. So I started at 2 o'clock on Thursday, and at 2:45 I had $1,900.
Nice.
I had talked to 3 businesses and was sitting in the 4th one, and I got 2 texts on my phone, and I looked at the woman and I said, "Well, I'm done." ended up with a little over $3,000 in an hour and 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
And now again, it's just not only was it I made it a challenge. I let everybody in on the challenge of it. I was doing it for a good cause, so why wouldn't you want to help?
Right.
You not only help me beat my wife in a bet, but you help a great cause. And so, doing things like that makes the day go by better.
Yeah, one of my closest and best friends lives out in Columbus, and he has the 411 Foundation.
You want to get him
Sean
in? Yeah.
Patterson, yeah, we're gonna get him in. But he does a lot of work. They I think it's every other month they serve lunch at the Ronald McDonald House in Columbus. So he's tied in with that all the time.
Since going with this and launching the campaign for this, I have met so many people directly affected by the Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
Right.
It was literally just, she gave me a list. I knew what they did, and I had worked, did a 10K, the Veterans 10K in Wheeling. I pulled a 45-pound sled through it. And I did that on behalf of the Fisher House in Pittsburgh, which does the same thing for veterans. They house the veterans' families so that while they're being treated at UPMC, their families with them. Because again, when you're in those types of situations, the worst thing you could have is a detachment from your family.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to heal, your family and that love being around is imperative.
I know that firsthand. That is absolutely true. But no, that's great. And I envy the fact that, you're doing a half marathon, 10K. For all the years that I was in the military, you had to run a mile and a half under a certain time.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So there was one time when everybody's like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna run a 5K, everything." I'm like, "All right, that's fine." We go trucking out there. As soon as my body went a stride past a mile and a half, it was like, "What the hell are you doing?" "No, we don't run. We don't run. Stop." I cramped up.
Yeah, we don't do this anymore. It's very quick when your body says that.
Yeah.
It's we don't do this anymore.
No, it's it was.
Well, one of the worst was the worst was running a 5K backwards. I ran a 5K backwards, and this was the year. There for a while, I was just trying to hurt myself. I basically was like, "What challenge can I put up that nobody else will think of or do?" And so I ran to Ogden barefoot one year. I raised money on behalf of Lace Up for Kids, but through the United Way. So I put shoes on kids' feet by running barefoot. It's marketing. I love marketing. If I can raise the most amount of money, I think I ended up with $5,000 for that charity.
That's fantastic.
And tubs of shoes.
I'm sure when you approach sponsors, it's like, "This is what I'm doing." I'm sure, oh yeah, we're in on that barefoot.
I have
40-pound
found
sled.
that people will give you money, but if you do something stupid that they know they would never do, they'll give you more money.
Nice.
That's the thing, If I say, "Hey, I'm running on behalf of this charity for this race," everybody's going to give me money. But if they got to stop and go, "What?" they'll give you more money. That's just what it is.
No, and again, it's that you have that camaraderie with the local community that they trust on what you're going to do, and they know it's going to good causes, and it's that's huge. So
it's an incredible amount of support, and it never ceases to amaze me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just like that thing with my wife recently, to have that amount of money that quickly for a good cause, just because everybody believes in the things that I'm doing. It really it makes it nice to be around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, the Ohio Valley is unique. After all the places that I've been, either stationed or anything, there's nothing like the Ohio Valley, man. We take care of our own, and it's fantastic.
Recently, with the things that have gone on with me, things I've said, things I've stirred up, going to council meetings, and just really putting my foot down for the valley and saying, hey, we're not going to be like this anymore. We're not going to throw our hands up in the air and say, well, it's Wheeling.
Yeah.
Well, that's not it.
No.
We're going to change, and we're going to be different, and things are going to be progressive around here because we're going to fix everything, but we have to fix the mentality as well.
Right. Yeah, because that's a good thing. Like around here, like you hear when you question something, like, well, why are we doing this? And it's that's the way it always was. Well, obviously that didn't work.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like that. And I've found that we are so much more connected than we think. If you look at national media, they're driving the division. But you go boots on the ground, and believe me, I told you before we started this, I know everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got boots on the ground, and especially with the things that have gone on with me recently, I reached out to people of all kinds of different backgrounds to see what they thought.
Right.
Because I want to know that if I go to council and talk on behalf of the community, I am talking on behalf of the community.
Right.
Right.
Okay, not that small amount of people that are yelling real loud and are crazy.
Right.
When I went to council recently, I took members of every part of this community with me so that when I said, I speak on behalf of everybody, and we're not going to stand for bigotry. We're not going to stand for, bullying or anything anymore. Right. I had the backing of the community. They were there with
you. I talked to Tim McCormick. He was helping run sound down at Pride in the Plaza. He said it went on without a hitch.
It was amazing.
That's what he said.
I mean, you've never seen a happier group of people in your life. And my fighters and I were walking around the crowd. We were at every exit all day long, just making sure if somebody wanted to start some shit, there wasn't going to be any.
Right.
Sorry for my language.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so
I check explicit on every video we post, so I don't have to worry about it.
I'm usually on the radio, so but even my fighters, it was like, why would anybody have a problem with this? You couldn't walk around there without every smile on every face, just making you happy.
Yeah, Tim said if it wasn't for the rainbow flags, you would have sworn it was a folk fest from a distance. Just how everybody was having a blast.
Well, and Market Plaza is such a good place for something like that. When you're talking about a percentage of the community, Heritage Port is great when you're going to fill it with everybody from every angle.
Yeah,
right.
But if you put something like that, and I'd been saying that for a few years before they decided to do this. They kept having Pride down there, but it looked so spaced out.
Right,
It looked bare. Well, they put it in Market Plaza, and I was helping set up that morning. And even with just the vendors and myself and a couple of my fighters, it looked busy.
Yeah.
And then you put the people in, and I mean, it was just a really nice
awesome
event. Yeah, and then they had party on the plaza not too long ago. I mean, we're using that Market Plaza a lot more yet.
That's
now.
awesome.
And it's that place for the in-between party.
Yeah.
Center Market, sometimes it's just too much with all the businesses there. Heritage Port's too big for certain things, and Market Plaza just seems to be right.
Nice. And like you said, you touched on it, if you, anything on the mainstream media, they want to show you the most extreme of each side of anything and just make it look like you said, everybody's and fighting and angered.
My best description of it is that we all sit right in the middle with our head down, trying to live our lives, be happy, make our family happy, and just get through.
Right.
Then you've got 5% on both sides screaming over the top of us.
Yeah.
And that's what we get shown.
Right.
And again, like, this was supposed to be a divisive issue. The LGBTQ, issue was supposed to be so divisive, yet everybody I talked to in our community was on the same side.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking religious leaders, I'm talking political leaders, I'm talking businessmen from every area.
Yeah.
Man, woman, black, white, everybody was on the same page, and I'm like, so where's the division here?
Right.
We can't just be that special anomaly This has to be like that in every place. But when we let small groups bring national politics into our area, it becomes a toxic environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these, the Republican chair of Wheeling. This woman is a menace, and everybody that listens to this will know who I'm talking about. And it's constantly bringing national politics into our small community, and it doesn't belong here. I think, a long time ago when George Bush Jr. got elected the second time, I said, I'm not paying attention to national politics anymore. I said, I can't do it. I'm going to go insane. So I started focusing on what we were doing with local community leaders. And where I live in Bethlehem, I helped a guy get elected to mayor that was going to change our parks and do things because it was a old man buddy club there for a little bit. And things like the parks were going by the wayside because these people's kids were gone.
Yeah.
And then, you want a community where people like me bring our kids, younger families, to establish.
Right.
Well, we can't do that if you're not going to improve things for that generation. And so I got really into local stuff and got out of the national scene.
And I mean, you even look now, today specifically, how they're trying to cancel Jason Aldean because he's singing that song. Try that in a small town, but small towns, that's exactly what it is. Come in here and try and do that stuff. We're not having it. We're not like that.
Well,
We're not.
I've just now became cognizant of this whole situation, and it's in everybody's news feed right now. Haven't personally sat down and listened to the song. I do get the gist of what everything's about, and quite honestly, when there was riots in every city, you weren't thinking that when they were talking about buses coming here. Now, I knew there wasn't buses full of people coming here.
Right.
But you had that thought in your mind that it probably wouldn't be a great idea.
No, and that's just because
then we're not blowing smoke when we say stuff like that. You don't want to come places like this and start shit.
No.
Because there's people armed to the teeth. There's good old boys that'll knock your dick in the dirt.
It's always funny when you go on bachelor parties or whatever to the West Coast or something. When people hear your group's accent, they're like, "What? We people avoid us just because they know something's up."
It's a kind of like a cross between Appalachia and Pittsburgh East.
It's like Pittsburgh.
Well, there for the longest time. Now, my wife got me the 23andMe because she thought it was fascinating. I had no idea past my great grandparents what I was.
Right.
I had that was not a thing in my family. Now, I did kids camps up in New York. First thing those people ask you is, what are you?
Yeah.
I'm like, the only answer I ever had was Appalachian.
Yeah.
I'm Appalachian. I know that. I know that for a fact. Now, I got 23andMe, and it told me, everybody you know and everybody you're related to is from here. I'm a hillbilly. It told me I'm super white. And I'm a hillbilly. And I was like, that's what I thought it would say.
Yeah, I forget. I did some offshoot. It wasn't 23andMe or Ancestry. It was something else.
Mine was Ancestry. Yeah,
and they went back and then on that it tells you where your family's originally from, and and it come back, and I'm looking at this now. Most of my life, I'm Scottish. I'm Scottish because I knew that I had great uncle that was straight from Scotland.
Scottish,
and there was a lot of Scottish. And then I get it, and at first when you open it up, it looks and it says it's German, majority German. But then when you read it, it's like Germanic. So it's more like Finland, Norway, that kind of northern. Yeah. And I opened it up and I was like, huh. I'm reading through, and then it gets down to German was the big one. The next one was Italian, Punjabi, Indian.
There you go.
And Chinese. I'm like, I don't know if I had. No, I ended up getting and there was northern Great Britain, but that's the skin that I got that I just spontaneously combust when I go out, but. It's crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's funny how they can find that stuff out
Yeah.
now.
I think, is it Ancestry they trace back using, I think, documents, and then I think 23andMe's, don't you like send in a
Yeah,
DNA?
both of
Well,
you gotta send it.
You gotta send
DNA
both?
with
Okay. Okay.
yeah, all three
You
of them.
spit in a tube. And,
Yeah, mine was that one was a little. It was like a genome thing, but I swabbed it and I sent it in. But I think I might want to do like Ancestry just to see where if I can get those documents
specific
now.
stuff. And
now I'm curious.
Yeah, now you download an app and they just keep feeding it.
Yeah.
If they find anything else, a census
Really?
document or something with their name on it, they throw it out there.
That's like I'm wondering because I don't know if my
The more and more AI, I mean, they can feed those documents through at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the next 6 months to a year, this AI thing's going to be a big deal.
just in case anybody's curious, AI means artificial intelligence.
They're not on they didn't get to the podcast if they don't know that. They don't know how to work the YouTube.
Oh my lord!
There's some stories coming out where AI is like tricking the creators in little ways. Have you heard about this?
Yeah,
Like, those, when you go into a website, it'll ask if you're a robot and you have to select the different images. Well, robot or AIs can't do that. So they gave this AI this job to where it had to access a blocked website. It was behind one of those capture things. So it went on a website called Fiverr, where you can pay people $5 to do a voiceover, record something, and pay the guy. Said, "Hey, I'm an elderly man. I have trouble seeing. Can you tell me which ones are pictures of traffic light?" And that's how he got in. They tricked an actual person using a different website.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
So just wait. I mean,
Yeah.
they just started releasing
Well,
it.
it's the thing is that you can't put a cap on it because China's not going to put a cap on it.
No.
Okay, and that's the thing is the unrestricted countries they go with this, they're going to have a decisive advantage if we don't let it go wide open.
Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, that's the thing. And what Elon was the one that said it. He was, AI is going to be. That's bad.
And
Like
they-
that's like we need to.
Well,
like,
I do think that we've got too much science fiction mind to this.
Right. That's true. Too.
Right.
I think that we'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, I just heard a quote from a guy. I don't remember who exactly said it. He said it to Elon, and Elon was talking about the AI might take over, and then it becomes the dominant being. And the guy called him humanist because, he was more. You're not worried about the furthering of different species,
Yeah.
just your own. And
a humanist.
yeah,
Get ready for humanism.
Yes. You're such a humanist.
the guy was basically throwing his hands in the air and goes, "So what if they take over? Maybe that's the next step in evolution."
Yeah. They always talk about that event horizon where like an AI starts improving on itself and improving on itself. And
Oh, it's already
Yeah.
it's already doing that. So I don't know. There's gonna who's in the Supreme Court right now, or in the future is going to be a big deal because a lot of these cases are going to be done there, and
Yeah.
a lot of the deciding of whether we put caps on it, whether there is censorship through it, whether who's going to govern it, all that stuff. We have no idea. This stuff's improving so fast that we can't figure this out. Laws don't work that fast.
Right.
The government doesn't work that fast.
No.
And this is going to go so quickly.
Unless they, want to say that, oh yeah, we have a vaccine, we tested it, and then a year later, we messed up.
government doesn't work that fast unless Ukraine needs another 900.
That's it. Yeah, unless they need, unless they need $3 trillion.
dollars,
Right.
Yeah, the good old war machine. So, got to keep it grinding.
All right. So I wanted to ask you, and I kind of briefly touched on it when you came in. What do you think of the new face-offs in UFC after the main card, the main fight?
I'm like,
Because we've seen
we've got wrestling and fighting mixed. Now, coming from somebody that my in-ring persona, it was a definitive change from my regular being.
Uh-huh.
Hyperactive hillbilly was like, I had a friend that would say the week before a fight and clear up through the fight, I walked around different. It was a different person. I was on a mission. I was ready to be shot out of a cannon. Now, when I would make a big deal out of my entrance, because I grew up in the WWF generation, watching Stone Cold Steve Austin and people like that coming out to entrance music, that was a big deal to me. I loved that. That, like, fighting, I trained so much and I worked so hard that the fighting I wasn't nervous. I wanted to have the best time about it. And so, like, the entrance and going into the ring and my routine in the ring, and then when I'd get done and I'd win and getting up on the turnbuckles, I did everything Stone Cold Steve Austin did, except for have people throw me beer.
Nice.
Okay, I literally did everything you could do. And so I made good money because people got excited when I fought. I do understand that. But we're running into this situation where everybody's trying to do Red Panties Night, and they're all trying to do the Conor McGregor because they've seen how much money he made out of it. But I don't think if it's one of those things that if everybody wears a fez, you're douchebags.
Yeah.
You know, if everybody's got the interesting hat on or the interesting sunglasses, then you're a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
You know? And everybody doing it has become too much, and the natural progression of it, WWE style, is a guy wins a fight, the champ comes in, they stare at each other, they might push each other.
The UFC's moved to this now.
Oh, really?
After,
they're the acquisition of, like, they just merged everything. Because fighting's entertainment. Yeah. Like, that's what I looked at it as, and I would make more money on cards than guys that had 3 times as many fights as me, simply because I understood the entertainment side of it. And it's a lot of the fighters and the serious, we like the guys like Volkanovski and guys like that don't say, they don't have to say things. Anderson Silva is my favorite fighter of all time. The guy was a ninja. At his prime, he was the greatest striker that has ever walked the face of the earth. That dude, they would tell him in interviews what the guy said about him, and he would go, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Well, we'll see." You know? And it was never like heated, because when you train hard and you're working hard, it comes out in the fight.
Right.
Now, I understand we got to sell pay-per-views, but these guys are working really hard to sell pay-per-views that they don't get much money out of.
Yeah.
Unless you're the top fight, the main event, or maybe a couple of the fights right before the main event, you see no percentage of that money, yet you're doing all this showman stuff.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why you don't see my fighters in the local Rough and Rowdy. Because they want them to act a fool. They want them to put out videos where they look stupid. And they kind of embarrass the gym and the fight community with these antics. And then we end up, like, if we did get invited, which we don't ever get put in it, then they're going to give them some money to fight some bum that shouldn't be in a ring.
Yeah.
And it's going to go on their record, which makes no sense to me. When I'm fighting, like, the West Virginia...
That goes on a professional record?
It goes on their amateur
record?
The Tough Man fight, the West Virginia Commission just started counting Tough Man fights.
Oh,
now, if I fight a computer technician on Friday, you tell me that counts as a fight, as an amateur boxing match? I fought a guy that just come off the street, probably wearing tennis shoes.
Yeah.
And you're going to count that on my amateur record. So now, if I win a few Tough Mans, I've got 20-some wins.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to fight guys that have been fighting seriously out of serious gyms in, like, USA boxing programs and things like that. But I fought a bunch of bums.
Yeah.
Like, I might have had one hard fight in the whole time.
Yeah.
When I won the Tough Man, I got hit 5 times in 4 fights total. But so those should count as fights on my record.
No.
Because now you're setting guys back.
Yeah. I mean,
because you can't match them with guys that have the same amount of experience with them.
Yeah,
with them
Right.
because they beat a bunch of bums up.
It seems I've been to a couple tough mans where it seems like you'll get a guy that looks like he cut weight the week before, and some guys it looks like they just walk on. One guy looks like he's cut up, and
Like my guys generally, they're going to go down to the next weight class now.
Yeah.
Like if a guy weighs 195, for him to make 184 is not a problem.
Did you cut a lot of weight when you competed, or
I did for the 2009 Tough Man. I did cut weight because I owned a gym with Travis Clark out in St. Clairsville, and our heavyweight Bubba Seacrest, he looked at me. He goes, "I'm gonna go in the Tough Man." I said, "Dude," at the time I'm 215. I'm like, "Dude, my ex was pregnant, and I was like, well, I need money." And like, so if you're going to do it, you better do it. You better show up and you better fight, because I'm going to cut in a week. I think I ended up cutting 25 in a week to get down to it, and fought. And, I won and he won, which was
That's
great.
Cool. Yeah.
But like that, I didn't cut during my career because I was distance running every morning. Every morning I was running anywhere from 5 to 10 miles. And then I would train 3 or 4 times a day. And so, like, I couldn't keep weight on. I would go to weigh-ins with a gallon jug of water, just chugging it, eating a double cheeseburger, and I'd weigh 10 pounds under. Because my weight class was 175 to 199, and I'm 6'3". I'm not going to 174.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, believe me, at 190, I looked gross. So, like, going to 174 was not possible.
Right.
So I just stayed in that weight class, and I ended up being the tallest, longest guy in the weight class. And I came from I played defensive line in college. I can throw you around, especially, you don't lose that strength when you come down in weight.
Right.
So, like, I always used to tell the Steve Novotny, I'd say, I'm just going to show him why he should cut weight, because I'm going to be the biggest guy in the weight class.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, like you said, I wish I would have been around here to see you fighting that Tough Man, because
Oh, I got booed. I got booed so much. Oh, dude. The first guy, okay, so here's the story. Okay, I got booed because everybody could tell if I wanted to knock somebody out, I could knock them out. And that's why people go to Tough Man. They want to see a guy like me beat up a guy like you, and they think that's hilarious. They want me to give you brain damage.
Right.
That's basically what they're there for, especially on a Friday night. And so Friday, I come in and I'm like, I'm not even joking with people. They're like, "Oh, you're trying for the jacket?" I said, "I don't need the jacket. I need the $1,000. I'm here to win, and I'm going to go home."
right.
Like, because I was teaching striking in an MMA gym at this time. So if I didn't win, I'm an asshole.
Right,
I should, I teach people to go in those things. So the guy everybody in the back knew who I was. And they post the bouts, and you could, it was a pattern every time after this. You could tell who my guy was because they post the names.
Yeah.
You don't know these guys. Well, my guy was always the guy sitting over there going. He got his head in his hands, and he looked stressed. And so, like, I walked over to him, and I remember his name and everything. I said, "So you're Aaron?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm Johnny Haught." And I said, "So what do you do?" And he said, "I'm a computer technician." I said, he said, "What do you do?" I said, "I teach striking in an MMA gym." And he just kind of went. And I said, "Okay, listen, you got boxing experience." He said, "I got 2 months." I said, "Okay, is your friends here?" "Yeah." "Is your girl here?" "Yeah." "Are they going to videotape this?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Listen, if you go in there and box, just box, I'll carry you. We'll go all the way through. And you're going to have a bunch of video and a great story. If you throw a haymaker or anything, I have to put you down." It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Like, if you try to hurt me, I have to take care of it.
Right.
And so we went in, had a great fight. I attacked his body a bunch. You know, he probably didn't like that, but I didn't hit him in the head much. I really moved around, looked like Muhammad Ali most of the time. And right at the end, I threw my hand up in the air. And this worked in the Tough Man a million times. I threw my jab straight up in the air. And by the time they realize that they've gone like this to a punch that's nowhere near their face, I'm dropping my right hand in their sternum. So I do this to the guy, and I hit him in the sternum. And then this is all on YouTube. You can look this up. I hit him in the sternum and backed up, and he took that one hard. So he put his hands down, and he just stood there. So I slid in, put my hand right to his face, stopped dead, stepped back, and the bell rang. Ended the fight.
Wow.
Like, I put my hand clear to his face. The crowd erupted. I got booed so loud. You've never heard 3,000 people do it all at the same time. I have.
Yeah.
And so they're announcing that I've won this fight because I just annihilated this dude. And I've got my hand in the air, and the ref's walking me around, and I'm going, what? Is that not good enough?
Do I not please you?
I'm screaming at the crowd. And the next morning, Jerry Thomas and Travis Clark both called me, and they're like, you can't yell at the crowd like that. I was like, fuck them. They were booing me. I looked great.
That was just all straight gladiator.
Yeah, like that's things like that. That's how I took things like that. You know, those weren't the fighting for USA boxing title. You know, fighting pro fights and getting paid and having sponsorships and selling I'd sell $13,000 in tickets for fights and fill the room with my people. So I'm fighting in front of my family and friends every time. You know, the Tough Man was just, and with my guys, it's not like I go, oh, well, we got to get ready for the Tough Man. This is really important. I said, no, you train to fight all the time. You should be able to go in there and do really well and get $1,000.
Right.
You know, I had D. Turner, one of my fighters, won 3 in a row. He won the Wheeling, and then this year, he won Parkersburg and Wheeling back to back.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Yeah, he just wanted to. He said, "I'm going to get 3 in a row, and I'm not going to be allowed to fight in it anymore." So, and then I got a few guys that Corey Toth just went down to Clarksburg and was knocking people out cold. Won his first Tough Man. Yeah, that was only, I think, his 3rd through 5th fights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean,
Man.
like leaving people out for a minute.
Jeez.
And we went down to Parkersburg, and my guy Stephen Carney, he threw an overhand right left hook, hit the guy, and I said, throw it again. He threw an overhand right left hook. He hit this guy with this left hook so hard that he left the ring, ended up on the judge's table, and it took him 5 minutes to wake him up.
Wow.
Like, it actually got to the point where, like, it was scary.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to celebrate, and I'm like, you might have killed somebody. You know? No, they got him up, and for all I know, he's fine now. But I mean,
yeah,
I wasn't ever the knockout guy. I was a hit you from bell to bell guy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to outclass you. I want to look better. I'm the cardio god as far as fighting comes around here.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to go the whole way.
Right.
I would have tough man fights where Coach Knapp would, in between rounds, would go, Johnny, why don't you just knock him out? I'm like, no, Coach, we're going the whole way. You know, because I didn't feel like I was in danger, so why not?
Right, yeah.
I want more pictures. I want more video. I want more media of me because I really enjoy it. You know?
Today's podcast is sponsored by Sage and Soul Decor Rental. If you are planning an event in the Ohio Valley, such as a wedding, a shower, anniversary, you name it, Sage and Soul can help you out with it. They have multiple collections to pick and choose from. You can make the perfect package for your event, and it'll be at the fraction of the cost if you would buy these decorations. If you ever had to buy decorations for a wedding, then turn around and have to resell them, then you're familiar with the stress they are saving the Ohio Valley. Check them out today. You can view their inventory online. You can schedule an appointment to check out the collections in person. That's Sage and Soul Decor Rental. Today's other local sponsor is Vargo's Cargo Moving Services. If you're planning a move in the near future, maybe you're relocating inside the valley, maybe you'll be moving into your first college dorm this fall, you might be listening to this podcast in California thinking, I need to get back to that simple cold cheese on pizza lifestyle. Give Vargos Cargo a look into, because he's been saving people in this valley hundreds, even thousands in moving costs.
So when you guys said that MMA and WWE joined and they're doing these face-offs, you know, everybody now knows it, and I'm not saying, I will never say that it's fake. However, WWE was very scripted.
Well, obviously, this face-offs, they were scripted.
The fight, the matchups. Now, that MMA is real good, because whereas boxing will put guys up against tomato can.
Yeah.
Like,
So
when
they
they're
get
trying
that.
to build a record so that they can get people to fight each other.
Right.
Like, that is really important in boxing. It's less important in MMA. So they end up if you show great promise and you look real good, like Bo Nickel right now came straight out of NCAA wrestling, and he just knocked his last opponent out cold.
Yeah, first
With
round.
a killer punch. They're going to speed him up, and he's gonna jump people and end up in line to fight people.
But do you think,
You know, it's who gets the draw.
but do you think, you know, with tying kind of those two things together, that people's going to start, like, that scripted thing fall into the actual MMA thing? Do you think that that's a possibility?
I don't think with fight fans.
Okay.
Now, your average fans are going to speculate. You know, there's a conspiracy theory about everything.
Right.
They're going to speculate, oh, well, he shouldn't have lost that fight. He probably threw that
Especially
fight. Well,
like
if you ask a fighter, the fighters don't throw fights. Like, you know, you'd have, like, pieces of shit throw fights.
Right.
Now, there's some pieces of shit in every demographic you can look at.
Right.
But, you know, to say that an MMA fighter went out and threw a fight and put themselves in that kind of danger, that's crazy.
And
Now, the early stoppages and things like that, you can argue those. The judges' rulings, the judges have to be unified.
Yeah.
The MMA judging right now is horrific.
It's bad.
Because they go state to state. Whoever the athletic commission is in the state does the judging. For $1 billion industry. That's crazy. So if there was a UFC promotion, then it'll never happen because we don't have anything big enough to do it. But if they did it in West Virginia with the hilljack idiots that we have, you know, running our commission, it would be horrific. So, like, and you're talking people's lives are on the line.
right.
If a guy's on his way up in the rankings and he takes a loss, that can be tremendously, you know, it'll take him into a deficit that he might not recover from.
Man.
You know, and it'll take, you know, when those guys go in there and put their bodies on the lines like they do, you cannot have an up in the air, do we trust these judges to say who won and who didn't win. Because I said it about Volkanovski. Volkanovski
I was going to ask you that.
Volkanovski beat Makhachev.
Yeah.
There is no fighter in the world that sat there at the end of that fight before they said who won that said Makhachev won that fight. Because even when Makhachev was on his back, Volkanovski's punishing him while he's on his back.
It's like if Volkanovski's yelling to Islam's corner, your guy's not strong, as he's in a body triangle. How is that control time? How's that control time for Islam?
He threw him around. He's supposed to be the smaller guy. Makhachev's supposed to be this killer that's way bigger than him and all that. And Volkanovski came up in weight and threw him around.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so the judging being state to state is ridiculous.
Yeah. And then, like, what you're allowed to do, like, I know Florida, they're allowed, I might be wrong, but, like, Florida's allowed ankle wraps. So you get ankle wraps if you're fighting in Florida, but in California you don't. It's so weird.
And you know, John Jones has to have toe tape because that one fight, his toe ripped halfway off.
Yeah.
You know, so he's got to tape his toe or he can't fight. Well, you know, state to state, you don't know when you show up if they've changed their rules.
Oh, wow.
That's the biggest thing I have to say about West Virginia is they meet all the time and they change things and they make rules. and nobody knows until it comes up. And it might come up at the day of an event. And then they're just like, well, you don't fight.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you can't mess with people's livelihood. I mean, just the fact that, like you said, there's just not a standard across. I mean,
Well, there should be a governing body for judges that work nationally.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it shouldn't be state to state. Now, if you want to have lower MMA promotions and things like that, but when you're talking top tier, well, Bellator's gone now. But like if you're talking PFL, UFC, like these top tier organizations, we'll call them A. You know, a
Right.
category organization. There should be a national, judges body.
oh,
Yeah.
just like the
know,
NFL
they
and
just-
MLB, that and they
Right.
have those guys that go.
Imagine if you had to, the NFL did it that way.
Yeah,
They govern their NFL refs. Each state.
Yeah.
You don't think there's bias in that?
Yeah.
Like, so you've got the same thing with fighting, and fighting, like, we take that very seriously because we put our lives on the line to
Right.
do it.
and you do see that like in college football. Like you'll see like on when you get to the
SEC
playoffs,
refs and
it'll be like
stuff
this
like
is an SEC crew when it's Big 10 versus Big 12.
Right.
and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something in the back of your head, because whoever wins this has to play Georgia, Alabama, whatever. It always is in your head. Now, I will say, as an official in the local area, as I used to be an official in the local area, I know, at least here in the Ohio Valley, nobody officiates like that. Nobody's going, well,
I
like
used to have a problem with the Mason
Yeah,
Dixon
like-
officials. They didn't like me.
like
The Mason
I can
Dixon
tell you
officials?
that.
like I grew up Wintersville Steubenville was a big rivalry. And never, like, when I started officiating, when I did Big Red games, I was like, well, I didn't like them when I was in high school. No, you and that's just it, that you ref or you ump or whatever what's on the field. You can't leave it in.
See, that's why I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because I got in there with the Wheeling Central crew, and I've been like, yeah, I don't like that team at all. I went to Bishop Donahue. And so, like, we didn't get along. I still don't like Wheeling Central.
It's but yeah, that's just crazy. Like, I never, and again, and we talked about this before we started recording. I don't know a lot about MMA. The most I know is, all, like you said, the big names that make the headlines at that time, like Conor McGregor and Brock
I brought
Lesnar.
him here and we had like 10 people in this room. We were watching the Pereira and Izzy rematch.
Yeah.
He got to see like one of the best. Like I think like one of the
Well, and then to watch after the fact all the training video of him working
Yeah.
that exact
Yeah.
combination from that exact
Yeah.
position, knowing full well that just like in the first fight he was going to put
Yeah.
him there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was one of the greatest game plans. That and my boy Anderson Silva, the second time he fought Chael Sonnen.
yeah.
Nobody in the room knew what was going on. I don't necessarily only hang out with fighters, so like, but Anderson Silva fights I would always watch, and so we're watching, and Chael takes him down, and Anderson Silva puts him in what's called the lockdown. And it's a grapevine on your leg, so you can't move forward. The harder you try to move forward, like a finger trap, it only tightens down on you. And so Chael just flailing around, trying to hit him, trying to do all this stuff, and Anderson Silva's not making any attempt to leave this position.
Right.
And I'm going, oh, I know what he's doing. He's going to let him wear himself out. So for the whole first round, that's what happened.
Yeah.
The second round, Anderson Silva beats him down like he's a little kid. like he's a little kid. And it was just like I was because I could see it in real time because of my my fight mind. I'm like, I know what he's doing.
Right.
And your average fan's going, well, obviously Chael Sonnen's doing better because he's on top.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
and that basically the first fight was the same way, but at the end of the first fight, Anderson Silva choked him out with like 10 seconds left, but Chael Sonnen's face looked like chewed hamburger. Anderson Silva's face didn't really look that bad. Now I came up in a gym full of grapplers, and they were always on the grappler kick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good at grappling, but I'm better at striking. And so I was the only one on Anderson Silva's side. I was like, this guy's so good, you can't beat him. And they were like, well, Chael Sonnen's going to take him down. That's it.
Right.
And so like they watched that fight and they saw Chael Sonnen on top and win it. And I'm like, I think he was just waiting so that he could choke him out.
Yeah.
You know, and then the second fight, again, he came in with a perfect game plan. And just as Izzy did, he put him in the position for him. You let a guy get comfortable. You let a guy think he's dominating. Okay, so any other time, you've got your back against the cage and he's standing right in front of you. You're at the disadvantage here. Well, he just lured him right into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I work that with my guys is that, like, we put padding on the wall so that we can do more cage training, more wall training. And the first few days, like, they would follow me over there. And I'd put my back on there. And then they'd come in like, oh, I got him. I got him cornered. And then I'd come out with some furious hell. And like, after a few, they stopped coming over there.
Yeah.
Like, I go over towards the wall. They back me into the wall. I put my back against the wall. And they all of a sudden are backing up. Because they don't really, you know, the veil had been lifted at that point. I'm only going to get that on you a few times before you're
right.
Like,
yeah.
When I first started striking, I would get in with boxers and I would back them down into the ropes, and I wasn't nearly as like tough mentally. I was just really athletic, and so they'd get over to the ropes and they'd put their back against the ropes and be okay with it. And I'd catch myself. I'd be like, oh, no, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd go right back to the middle of the ring where my length does its job.
Right.
You know, because they want me to follow them there because they know that more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now that's not the case. But especially back then when I first started getting in with real boxers, like they'd invite me over there because they knew what the hell that was going on.
Right.
I was going into dark water there.
So you had touched on something earlier, and you said that, you know, no real fighter is going to throw a fight. And you know that's true if you're in that sport, because of the fact that, like for me, I played football from the time that I could remember all the way up through. And, you know, you hear people saying, oh, well, they threw the Super Bowl. Now, you know, it's tough for, like you said, one fighter to throw a fight because you're done. I said, and when people say that, it just irks me because of the fact that, you know how many people need to be quiet for an NFL team?
The most non-athletic people are always the ones that say, did you see the script for the Super Bowl? No, I did not.
The thing is like, as a kid, when you're starting out playing sandlot in the backyard, you always think, like, I'm going to be in the NFL and I'm going to make that last catch. You work everything. I don't care if you're in Pee Wee or college. You're still got that mentality that, if I'm in the NFL, won a championship, never once are they going to say, hey, guys, you worked your entire life. You've given up so much. When we get to this championship game, we need you to throw it.
Yeah.
Right. There's not an athlete out there anywhere.
Everybody's going to shut up.
Yeah.
And even like we went to Ed Sheeran concert and we were on the floor. So I'm on the field at Acrisure. Now, we've discussed this on the call-in. I'm not a Steeler fan, but still, I stood there on that field, looked around, that place is packed, and I'm like, this would have been sweet if I was in a Patriot jersey.
That's it. That's exactly. I went to the Steeler game, and we sat seven rows up from the goalpost in the end zone, right next to the clubhouse, and we walked out of the clubhouse, and I looked around, and they're playing Renegade, and I was like, I don't like the Steelers fans, and I don't like the Steelers, organization that much. But that was really cool,
right?
And then I started, reflecting because I hadn't been to Lambeau at that point, and I was like, well, when I go to Lambeau, I'm going to cry for like at least a quarter and a half.
Yeah,
like I kind of almost got teary eyed walking into the Steelers
Yeah, it's
You know?
it like you said. It's just for people.
But yeah, you're not gonna give up all that.
Yeah, you're not gonna have somebody that's been training since God knows when, and they finally make it up, and they're on the ticket.
Especially national.
They're on
national.
pay-per-view, and then they're gonna say, "Oh, hey, yeah, you needed to throw this,"
Or like-
because there's not a fighter out there that worked that hard to get there, and
Right. Oh yeah, the amount of surgeries, the amount of broken bones. Like I've got I got two breaks in my big toe right now. You ask me if that stops me from sparring. Ask me if that stops me from training for a half marathon. Like that doesn't. None of this stops us.
you're right.
There are very few. My back surgery was the one thing that I could not avoid, but everything else I've kind of ignored.
Yeah.
And just kept going. I'm scar tissue and calcium deposits all over, and I don't do that to dishonor my sport. You know, and you know, it's been said a lot recently, and Sean Strickland said it. If the UFC would pay people what they are worth to fight, and give people the amount of pay-per-view money that they should give each fighter, and letting people have sponsors and stuff to supplement their own income, then most of the champions would be Americans. Because then there would be incentive for the people in our country to do this more and try harder.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the guy right now, if you're like a fight night main event, you make $250,000. That don't go far here.
No.
You take that to Dagestan.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
a king.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brazil.
Khabib didn't even get the money that was being thrown out after Conor came around. Okay, Khabib quit before that all started to explode.
Right.
That guy lives like a king where he lives.
Right.
And the guys from Nigeria and things like that, they come over here, they make a few $100,000, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't with the taxes and everything that you have to pay here, that's not that much.
No.
That's not going to be forever money.
And what's funny is a lot of people don't realize, like, you know, in countries like that, and one example, and it's nothing to do with fighting, but we were doing training in Honduras. So we're down there, and we had the Honduran army kind of like as our security, like, but we were all bunked in the same kind of like area, and we taught them how to play poker. Now, for me, yeah, I can lose $30. I don't hear it. That was like 4 months' salary for that.
Yeah.
Guy. So it's just like,
Yeah.
and you know, we're all kind of like, you know, I lost that when I lost. These guys are like, like by the time we were done in like 2.5 weeks, each one of these guys had like $200-300. They're set for like the year.
Well, and that's why you're seeing guys like Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou he's going to fight Tyson Fury, and he's going to make enough money that is going to be generational wealth.
And he did that PFL deal too. Yeah.
He left the major organization who thought they had him under. They had him. Well, they don't have him.
Right.
Because now we've got gimmick fights. Now it doesn't matter. Like now the champion of the UFC can leave and go fight, Joe Schmo, or they can go fight a boxer. It doesn't matter who wins or who loses because everybody wins monetarily.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't think that when Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather were talking shit and going on that world tour to talk shit to each other in different venues all over the country,
Saying how
that
much
they
they hate
weren't
each other.
getting on the same private jet and flying away laughing the whole time.
Right.
Okay, you don't think that, like, I'm not saying that Conor McGregor didn't go in there trying to win that fight. I'm saying that Floyd Mayweather knew he wasn't going in there losing that fight. Okay, Conor can think all that he wants, but he is a great businessman.
Right.
Like, he knows what to say and how to build something.
Yeah.
And so, like, they would go and they would talk shit, and then they'd get on the plane and laugh about, they just sold this venue out to do that. Not to fight, to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, Floyd takes home $200 million, Conor takes home $100 million, everybody's happy.
Right.
So like now that we've got stuff like this, and social media and different people, different players in the game that are like, I'll throw a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Saudi princes will throw a whole bunch of money to watch people fight.
Right.
They don't care if it's sanctioned.
Right.
They'll like the Tyson Fury and Ngannou fight. Nobody will sanction that fight. You can't just like Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. Conor McGregor was a 0-0 fighter. Okay, yes, he's an MMA fighter, but he is not a boxer.
Yeah,
right.
So in that sport, he is 0-0 going against a 49-0 dude. There's no commission in the world that will let you get away with that.
It's funny how fast those deals get signed than compared to like Tyson Fury versus Usyk.
Because there's more money.
There's so much money, so much negotiations, and they just all fall apart after a couple months.
Yeah, the Usyk fight. I think Fury likes the power of, I don't have to do what you want me to do because I'm the man and I've proven that. So he just likes to, he's like, I don't have to live by your standards, and I'm a big believer in that. I love that. Yeah. My whole life is when I got into fighting, I was a different kind of person anyway. Then I got good at fighting, and I said, you know what? I'm going to live exactly how I want to now. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to act however I want. Now I live my life to be a good person, and I try to do great for everybody around me.
Right.
But I'm not going to not do. I do my hair up. I paint my toenails. I wear yoga pants when I want to. I'm going to do whatever I want to do from now on.
Right.
And I like Fury's got that mindset with a lot more money.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a gypsy. I don't care. I lucked in. I've conned you all into this situation.
I'm going to fight with horsehair, boxing gloves. There's not a thing you can do.
That's it. He's got the old Rayas on.
So, do you have any fighters getting ready for any fights coming up?
Stephen Corney is getting ready for the ABA amateur tournament, 175. So it's let me think. I think it's an 8-man tournament that'll go from October to January to fight for the Appalachian Boxing Association's amateur title. We'll have guys that, as they do their other weight classes, we'll have guys ranked in those. We have I don't know. We've got like 4 tough mans this year. And we've got 5 or 6 guys that are really studs. We got one guy going off to college in Kentucky, and he's already gone to and sparred at the gym down there, so he's going to be furthering his stuff. Then we've got I've got personal training clients and stuff, just trying to do make everybody feel better and be better. I'd have 100 students if I could placate to like the non-driven. But like, if you don't want to change your life, if you don't want to change, or
you gotta have
really
that mindset,
progress constantly, I'm not the person to come see. And I have that reputation, so I don't deal with that a lot. My numbers are my numbers, but the people that I have stay.
Now you'd seen like past a week that West Banco is now getting. They made their announcement on like they're getting these big acts, and it was Cooper and Ice
9 Kills.
Whose genius idea was this that we didn't have 15 years ago?
Right.
That's that West Bank has been sitting there vacant, other than a truck rally or a car show every once in a while. The bullfighting and the ice rink comes out, and then you get the tough man. Like could be. Why do we have to go to Pittsburgh to see people?
Well, I was telling people, like, I grew up, like, I saw Aerosmith there. I saw Kiss at West.
Oh, yeah, my father-in-law talks about his brother going to see AC/DC there.
Yeah,
I remember when they were protesting out front of it for Marilyn Manson. We leaned on the Capitol too hard. And the Capitol, the people that bring in the talent for the Capitol, up until recently, they're kind of older generation.
Right.
They're not going to bring the things that are getting people out of their, houses. West Bank, I'm telling you, if you put anything to do at night, that's not just go to a bar and eat wings.
Right.
Yeah.
People flood it.
Right.
And I promise you that these shows are going to sell out like that.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen Alice Cooper twice in the last 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
and he's just as good now as he ever was.
They also have, is it Wasp? Is that the capital or is
Wasp is at the Capitol.
Capitol, okay, yeah.
But with that, them trying to build that up, do you have any like desire to get involved with them to bring like a night that's got like 5 or 10 cards for MMA into
They
there?
have to get the commission.
The thing is the promoters are going to go with the least amount of money that they have to put into the venue.
Gotcha.
West Banco, you're going to you have to have major local talent to get that. Now, back in the day when it was the Greens, Travis, me,
Yeah.
Bruce Runkle, Chris Goldball, all these guys, like we had a very good stable of fighters around here, so we could fill a card. Travis and I'd sell out 3/4 of the seats ourselves.
Right.
So like they could do cards there, and especially when we were all amateurs. Now the promoters thought we didn't understand how.
Yeah.
I'm a businessman. I know that the reason that the promoters dried up in the area is because we all turned pro.
Gotcha.
They could put they could literally there were whole cards, MMA and boxing, where there'd be our gym against other people.
Yeah.
Like that, we'd fill a whole side of the card. Back when I fought out of the bullpen, you know, we'd fill a whole side of the card, and then they'd scrounge up a whole bunch of people to fight us.
Yeah.
But generally, we would win all the fights.
Right.
And you know, then slowly, all of us turned pro, and then we all start asking for money. Well, I can't, you know, sell all these tickets and you know. And all that stuff. Well, and we're even selling the tickets.
Yeah.
But a promoter's not going to put any more out than they have to.
Gotcha.
And so, like, even the Downs was too much for some. Because you could only, believe me, I tested out how many people you could fit in there. Because one of my fights, we had 650 people, and they said, you can't have 651.
It
They
gets.
say, we were, because they put tables everywhere, because I could sell tables for $1,000 a pop, and I'd have 10 tables gone as soon as they'd hand me tickets.
Right.
And so, like, you know, I fought at the Serbian Center up in Weird and things like that. They like banquet halls. They like Morgantown. They have a banquet hall down there that they have a lot of fights at. Downstate, they'll fight, you know, in a big room. It could be a gymnasium in a high school. You know that you start getting down into Madison, down Boone County. You gotta tell the guys. I was like, you know, we're gonna go here. You're gonna fight.
A good one.
While there's a highway, you don't want to be 100 foot off this highway. Don't say anything to anybody. Don't hit on any women. We're going to get in. You're going to fight. We're going to get the fuck out of here.
Good old Boone County where they filmed the what was it? The
Wonderful
Wild
Whites
of
of
West
West
Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah.
I think.
That's it. See that? And the thing is, and what I've been working on really hard, and I'm going to speak in D.C. in November about this with a dais of doctors, lawyers, veterans, like high-ranking people, and like we have to change the narrative of our state, West Virginia. You know, like we as West Virginians are laughed at by the entire country. We get laughed at by the people that are on this side of the river.
Yeah.
Okay, like, and we do nothing but perpetuate our stereotypes.
Right.
By the clear up to the guy we elect as our governor, can't stand long enough to give a speech. And he brings his goddamn dog everywhere, and he speaks like a moron. I don't want my elected representative speaking like the guy that changed my oil.
Right.
You know, and so like what I've been working real hard on, and it's trying to get our area convinced that the Northern Panhandle needs to start to become the face of West Virginia. Our progressive mindset, our inclusivity, our, you know, forward-thinking type of model. We need to take over that image.
Right.
And you know, while I love Jesco White, that's what people think of us.
Yeah.
You know, they think we're just a bunch of pillhead hilljacks.
Yeah.
And you know, if we don't stand up and say, no, that's not it. And if we let the downside, like there's a big separation between Northern Panhandle and the rest of the state.
Oh, yeah,
They
for sure.
do not
Yeah.
like us.
No.
They do, and that perpetuates in everything. That perpetuates in fighting. Believe me, I had to, the Appalachian Boxing Association, I had to pry our way into it. I
Really?
said, you're making rankings with fighters from this area, but you're not including people in the north. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
We're up here. We're knocking people out. We're knocking people out. You're putting on those rankings.
Right.
So how's that possible? And so, like, yeah, they can stay the way they are, or they can join in.
Yeah.
But we want to be what everybody looks at West Virginia like.
Right.
Because, you know, being downtown and owning a business downtown, it's real hard to see right now. But here in a few years, it's going to look really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be really nice. And if we can change our mindset along with the infrastructure, I think we could turn things around, because West Virginia's last in everything.
Yeah.
Like, and why? Why is it?
Yeah.
Why do we throw our hands in the air and go, well, it's West Virginia? Just the same reason I got riled up when people would go, well, it's the way Wheeling is. No.
Right.
And if I've got to change it myself, like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, the part of having a giant ego is I think I can do some impossible shit.
Like you said, you're bringing in the community behind you, though. So it's
Yeah.
not just like one person coming up saying this is what.
I think, you know, a lot of it is you just have to point it out to everybody.
Yeah.
You got to say, hey, isn't this wrong? Isn't
Right.
this wrong? Don't you think this is wrong? Then why don't we say this is wrong? And you know, especially with my stance with the whole Pride events and all, the drag queen events and all that stuff, is, you know, it was basically, you know, why are we allowing people to bully people around in front of us and not saying it?
Right. Yeah.
If you bully somebody, the person being bullied, they're going to complain. Well, if everybody around them complains that that's being done as well, then it gets heard.
Yeah.
Trust me, I got victimized all through growing up. I got chased home. I got beat up. I got all of that. And I would tell the administration at the school, I'm saying, listen, they're waiting for me.
Right.
As soon as I walk across the street off the school property, they're going to be waiting. Now, if all the people around me would have stood up and said, hey, this is happening. Because, like, my parents didn't know what to believe. You know,
Right.
like, they didn't know whether I was causing this situation. But I mean, you know, but if everybody outside of it that's not being affected by it stands up and says, no, I'm not okay with that either.
Right.
That's when we get things changed. Whether, you know, no matter what percentage or what demographic we're talking about, the people outside of that need to stand up too.
Right.
If we're doing the right thing, and people for a long time in the last, you know, 6 months have been shaking my hand, thanking me. And I tell them all the same thing. I'm just doing the right thing.
Right.
I have, you know, I'm the kind of person that you can't bully. So I stood up and I said, well, I'll stand here and you can direct all complaints towards me, because you can't beat me up. You can't destroy my business, because my business is going to be my business no matter what.
Right.
People are always going to want to fight. And
Yeah.
if you want to strike in this valley, I'm the only person you need to see. And, you know, like, it's just, and you're not going to hurt my image.
Right.
You can't
Right,
tear
yeah.
me down. I've put hundreds of thousands of dollars of charity work into this valley.
Yeah.
I do nothing but try to help everybody around me. So you can go tell somebody I'm an asshole. They'll probably say you probably did something to make you act like an asshole. You know, the Republican chairwoman, she called my phone one day. And she thought she could just call my phone. And I answered my phone. And she had been harassing people in the whole community. Black, white, trans. She had harassed so many people. And I thought, surely she's got enough sense to know not to call me.
Yeah.
She calls me. Her phone, my caller ID's got her name on it. I'm like, oh shit! And I don't even know how to handle this. I answered the phone. I said, "You don't get to fucking call me, bitch," and I hung up. And then she went around telling people that story. But I have the kind of reputation that, like, if you went down the street and I said to go fuck yourself, somebody'd say, well, what'd you do?
Yeah.
Right.
Because obviously I had a reason to say that. It's not surprising that I said that. And she called, my gym number is on my business, and it's my cell phone number. Like, I'm an easy person to find.
Yeah.
So if you really want to bring hate, you can contact me.
But the thing is, I think just as society, and we talked about this earlier about, the division through mainstream media, it's just, it's okay to disagree with somebody.
That's
If we disagree on something, that's fine. That don't mean I hate you. That doesn't mean I hate what you stand for. I just disagree with you, and that's okay. That's the problem where people lost that. Where it's okay to have a difference of opinion, because if we all thought the same, this world would suck. If we were all on the same mindset, it's
Right.
okay to, like, if you have a debate, because I don't know what somebody else knows. Like, I might say, there's no aliens. I don't believe in UFOs, blah, blah. And he comes along and says, well, what about this? Oh, I never thought about that.
yeah.
Okay.
I've had long conversations with libertarians, Republicans, but people that don't have my exact viewpoint. And if they make a point that's valid, I have to say, yeah, you're right.
Right.
And self-realization of all of this, my last year, as I walk outside and I think, if I visualize this type of person, a conservative, or, if I visualize that, the national narrative makes me not like that person.
Right.
But then I walk out my door and there's a guy that I talk to every day that works across the street from me, and I know he's a Republican. I don't hate him.
Right.
So why do I let that invisible narrative direct me to hate him before I even talk to him? Because I know I don't hate him. I know we don't. We might not line up on certain viewpoints, but it's never something that is war worthy.
Right.
Yeah. So when this comes out, it'll be tomorrow, River City.
Yeah, it'll be the 26th, River City, 6 p.m. Show of hands. Four presenters, 4-minute presentations. So it's not a long event.
Right.
It's nice. It's fun.
Yeah.
A lot of the community comes out for it, but I need everybody under the sun to show up.
Everybody, River
Pay
City.
your $5. Vote for Ohio Valley MMA. It'll help us with our training. It'll help us with our equipment, but it'll also help us free up a little bit of time and energy to do more community work. Because just like I'm doing with myself, I teach that to my students. A big part of my training is that I want to make them better people. I want to make them good people. At the end of the day, it would be very irresponsible to not make them good people. If I'm going to give them a power that only 1% of the population has, the power to hurt somebody with your hands,
Right.
I cannot let them out into the community to be a menace.
Yeah.
I've learned from involvements with other gyms that you have to really request. If I see your mugshot, you don't train with me anymore. If I hear about you fighting somebody outside of the gym and your life wasn't on the line, you don't fight in it. You don't train here anymore. I preach the community service. I said, if these people are going to buy your tickets, they're going to buy your t-shirts, they're going to do all this stuff, and then your community and your area is going to celebrate you just for doing something that feeds your ego. You need to put more into it.
Yeah.
You need to put it back into the community just like I have.
All right, so everybody that listens and follows us, make sure you guys get down there. If you're in the local area, pay your $5. You get a vote. And
online voting will be available as well. Now, online costs $10, but it gives me an opportunity for my national people to.
Yeah,
nice.
I got some people up in Wisconsin that'll definitely be voting for me.
It's a good cause, and good luck on your half marathon at Disney.
Oh, and that's going to just be a fun time. Now, like I've said, generally I do a stunt or make it harder on myself. I'm going to run this with my wife, and she doesn't like attention as much as I do. So I have to run this race like a normal person.
Listen, I'm sorry. There's nothing normal about running 13.2 miles, but I that's just me personally. But
yeah, well, it's I train really hard to be in really good shape, and so things like that, I just enjoy the fact that I can.
yeah,
Because I recognize that when I was training, when I was fighting, because again, I was pushing the levels of what a human body could do. At 36 years old, I ran a 4.5 minute mile. Like, I was doing things that other people couldn't do. And I realized that I was very lucky that I could, because there were so many that couldn't.
right.
Yeah.
There was people that, like, when I didn't want to go run those distance runs in the morning, I thought about people that didn't have the choice whether they could or not. And then I was like, well, I'm going to get it.
Right.
I'm going to get it for everybody that can.
All right. Johnny, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
enjoyed
It was
We'll
good.
get you in
It was a good
again
time.
in studio again for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm way better in person.
The calling was great.